Hey everybody, what is going on? Welcome to episode 197 of Byte. That's weekly wrestling podcast available every single Wednesday night. We talk about Raw, Smackdown Live. We're going to be getting to our predictions for Extreme Rules 2017. But before all of that, do not forget that we currently have a giveaway where you that is listening right now, have a chance to win a $25 Amazon gift card. All you got to do is provide a genuine, honest review of the show on the platforms such as iTunes or Stitcher. Just drop a review, be honest about that, help spread the word about everything that it is we do, and give us some kind of proof that it is you, so that way if you're the winner, which by the way will be announced on episode 200 of the podcast, so you have until Tuesday, June 20th to sign up. The winner will be announced on June 21st, that is the Wednesday. 200 episodes of the podcast. We're getting very, very close there. You can also check us out on YouTube and VidMe, and we are just getting ready for the summer. The summer is bringing a lot of wrestling fans that are a little bit confused. We can feel the investment, the intensity of the wrestling fans sort of go down a little bit. So even though we're going to be getting to our Extreme Rules predictions, we're going to make sure to just sort of have that conversation between myself, Juan Velas from San Juan, Puerto Rico, and Ryan McNulty from Boston, Mass. It's a two-person show tonight, so we're going to get to just more wrestling talk, actually. You doing good, man?
I'm doing good. It's another pay-per-view prediction show already, man. They kind of sneak up on you.
We're back into it.
Yeah, I know. Here we go again. But before we jump into things, I want to give a shout out to our gold patrons, including Tony Meyer, Ashley Hudson, Liam Vincent, and Overcooked Bacon. Pretty cool name there. If you want to go the extra mile in supporting us, check out patreon.com/bytethat. For as little as $1, you can get a raw and uncut video version of the podcast that includes a 10-minute pre-show exclusive to our patrons.
You can also get yourself a 30-day free trial of Audible by going to audibletrial.com/bytethat. You get yourself a free audiobook. We have AJ Lee's book, which I finished listening to last week. I thought I had like a full hour left. I hit play, and it was just the ending part, like the credits. I'm like, oh, I wanted to listen to a little bit more. I highly recommend that. So once again, that's audibletrial.com/bytethat. It kicks back a little bit something to us to help cover production costs. You help Byte That grow to the way that it is today. So let's just go directly first to the Raw and Smackdown polls, because after that, we already got the main event. We're going to be talking about This Is Your Life. This was Raw. So I don't think it's any surprise when I say that 47% of people gave Raw a 1 out of 4. When you look at SmackDown Live on Twitter, Byte That Cast, 40% gave it 4 out of 4, and 40% gave it 3 out of 4. Nobody gave it bad. So when it comes to Raw, I don't know why WWE feels the necessity to go down this well of segments that have historically not done great. Even The Rock, when he repeated segments, like even one of the Rock concerts, when he came back after like that 7-year hiatus, it was bad. When they tried to reenact these This Is Your Life segments, they've been bad. In this one, it's got to be among the worst. It was so bad, not just because of the whole segment, but we always give credit to Alexa Bliss, right? Her acting is always top-notch, and the acting was still great here, which is the contrast of here's this person acting their ass off to try to make this work with the what chance, with everything. At the end of the day, a bad script and a bad segment are a bad script, and guess what? A bad segment. You can't save it, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. Raw got a huge negative reaction, understandably, even though we had a pretty good main event and we had a pretty good triple threat as well. The thing is, whatever kind of stuck out, people are going to remember that, and that is what's going to make a show tank. And Raw's been very shaky lately, and this was not the segment that we needed at all. I don't get it. I don't get why This Is Your Life has to repeatedly come back. We know it was that one-time magic. It was one of the highest rated segments ever. But they've tried this at least like 2 or 3 other times to do This Is Your Life. It has never, ever, ever been even close to what the first one was. So I don't know why they try and do this. And not only that, they tried on a like feud that's not exactly the hottest feud going right now. I think, both Bayley and Alexa Bliss are great, but I don't know if the crowd was ever going to be as invested in that feud that this segment would ever work. I mean, the way that they've handled Bayley is very, very questionable. Of just like,
That's
before it was Charlotte, just basically saying she's like a WWE, she's a fangirl, so she's a loser or whatever. And that's supposed to get people to relate to her, but it's really just making Bayley look bad. I mean, this segment did nothing. Not only did Alexa Bliss and all these actors or whatever completely say embarrassing stuff about her, but then she got her ass kicked at the end of it. Like, what are you doing? And
if it was just this one segment, that would have been fine, but you just brought up Charlotte. So this is not the first time that we've seen Bayley get poked fun of for being a wrestling fan. And get this, because we have a couple of people that don't watch Raw every week. They made fun of her for watching Monday Night Raw.
Yeah.
Just think about that.
She stopped, her friend Tracy stopped being friends with her because all she wanted to do was watch Raw and SmackDown. What does that say? What are you trying to tell your audience? Stop watching the show so you can have a social life.
Exactly. And if this was the first time, but at this point, it almost feels like people backstage, and this is pure speculation, but at some point, you got to think this is what's happening. They're almost bullying the Bayley character. I'm not saying they're bullying her, but it seems to be just like how deep can we get into just making fun of her without, and just be able to get away with it? Because I just don't understand how this helped. Even Nia Jax, in contrast, when we talk about the Money in the Bank women's ladder match that was announced on SmackDown Live, she sent out a tweet saying how nice it was that SmackDown is able to use the SmackDown Live women's roster in such a way. And Raw, it just seemed out of nowhere. Like this whole thing, even there's Sasha in this corner. We'll get to that in the predictions, how Sasha now is just, she can be further away from the boss. So it's almost like these characters continue to become just more caricatures, more cartoony. We talked about WWE being a circus last week, and it feels like this week they just went all in. And it's happening week by week, and the whole thing, man, and I want to ask you directly, you sent out a tweet where us as wrestling fans, we can complain all we want, right? Ultimately, when a show feels like it's just not fun to watch, that is a problem. And you felt like tweeting that. What triggered you? You're the master of the triggering. Something must have triggered you, so you tweeted that.
Because we get to these points. If you listen to all of our podcasts throughout the year, it's like a roller coaster. There's dips, there's peaks and valleys, and all that. Where every once in a while, we're going to have one of these episodes when we're just like, what are we watching right now? What are we doing? And I've said this plenty of times before of just TV is in a very great place right now. TV is like kicking movies' asses right now with quality content. And we're all sitting here on Monday night watching garbage TV most weeks, hoping that there's maybe
10 minutes
that we love about this show. And it's just, it didn't used to be like that. I used to look forward to Monday Night Raw every single Monday. And sure, there would be bad Raws. That would happen every once in a while. I never remember it getting as bad as it's gotten, in the last several years. And maybe that's just recency bias or whatever. Like, I'm looking at the past with rose-tinted goggles, and whatever just happened recently is the worst thing ever. The 3-hour show, I mean, we don't need to go into that, but it really is. If you just I don't know who watches this show straight up, front to back, full attention. Can anyone do that anymore? Because if you take it as just a straight up television show, it's not entertaining. You can watch an episode of Game of Thrones front to back, pay full attention, be entertained the entire time. That is not possible. And it gives you substance.
It gives you things to talk about. When you look at SmackDown, because I want to get to this. Sometimes people get the impression that when we, and by we I mean like wrestling fans that have podcasts and that type of stuff, people think that by us saying the show's unwatchable means that they're having too much fun. Michael, it's too ridiculous. I love SmackDown Live this week, and the highlights were New Day and Breezango. Two absolutely outrageous, damn near stupid but glorious because of it, superstars and tag teams. So the problem is not whether you're a serious character, you're a funny character, you don't even know what character you are. It's just that the blend is not there. Raw feels like all of these segments that they got to pack into a 3-hour show, which could be just as bad for 2 hours. It would be more acceptable for 2 hours, but acceptable is not what I come to watch, you know? I want to be able to like talk about this.
We just want week to week interesting storytelling, which SmackDown, you know, it's not what it was a couple months ago, but it is still far superior to Monday Night Raw. The problem really is solely Monday Night Raw. SmackDown, it's not quite what it was, but it's still far superior to Raw. NXT is doing its thing. Takeovers are still awesome. I haven't watched 205 Live, but a lot of people are actually pretty satisfied with it. And all the other stuff they do on the network, a lot of that is really, really good stuff. So it's really solely Monday Night Raw that is the major issue in WWE right now. It is just not an entertaining television show. Every once in a while, there'll be something great that makes everyone kind of believe again and keep from just completely going off the wagon or whatever. But it just straight up isn't an enjoyable television show, at least right now. And the shakeup I feel like the shakeup only made things kind of worse in a way. The like SmackDown is recovering from the shakeup now. Things are the wheels are finally churning again, but Raw has not been any better.
Because Raw is not about the superstars. Raw is about these placeholder characters.
They have so many damn superstars on that show, and it sucks. How can you have so many people on that show? You have the entire Shield, you have Finn Balor, you have Samoa Joe, like, you have Braun Strowman, who I know is hurt right now, but you got Sheamus, you got Cesaro, you have so many people, Bray Wyatt, all these people on this show.
It's
and
like I mentioned a couple weeks ago, man. The thing is that, you know, people always talk about WWE wanting to build or needing to build these big stars. And I think the problem is that they have built big stars and everybody almost equally on Raw. Like, there's not that one star. You look at the Attitude Era, you look at Hogan Era, you look at WCW, there's always like these 5 guys, right? There's always like the NWO and Hogan and all that. But here, it feels like WWE needs to let you know, not that all of these people are possible contenders for championships, but here are the people, you're going to love watching them, they're going to do their things, and then you're going to be satisfied with it. They're so afraid of building a Stone Cold or The Rock.
I think that's sort of the problem, is they have all these superstars, and they're just like, here you go. They don't really, you don't feel like they're doing anything with them other than just like, oh, we're going to trot you out to do a match, and then you're going to feud with this guy. Nothing particularly interesting is going to happen. You're just going to have a series of matches. Someone's going to come out on top, and then you guys move to your next opponent. You know, it's not like, hey, do you remember when John Cena and Edge feuded, and Cena threw Edge into the Long Island Sound or whatever? Like, he threw him into the damn lake, like, or river, whatever it is. I don't even know what type of water.
Into water.
Yes, it's a body of water. Like, what memorable moments have happened, like, recently in any feud? It's just, it's the same kind of recycled stuff. You don't feel like
Bray Wyatt killed a cameraman.
That's true, but guess what? That was happening over on SmackDown. Like, character thing.
Damn.
You know, say what you will about Orton and Bray Wyatt, they did some stuff with that feud. Like, that's the type of stuff. It doesn't have to be that out there, but they're doing things outside of the typical everyday WWE feud, which is just trotted out over and over again. And also rematches, you know, week to week, the same people facing each other. I looked at, Wrestling Database. I forget what the actual website is, but if you just kind of look that up, you'll be able to find it, where it has the cards of all Monday Night Raws. I went back 10 years and just looked, 5 straight weeks of Raw. What were the matches? Did I see a lot of rematches and stuff? And every single one of them seemed like they were jumbling up the matches enough that it didn't feel like you were seeing the same people facing each other every single week. And different people would be main eventing the show every week. So it didn't feel like, oh, you're always going to see Roman Reigns in the main event or whatever. That's just completely missing right now. If Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns are in a feud, in some form or fashion, they're going to be facing each other every week for the next 3 months. And you get tired of it whatever happened to actually anticipating?
And that should be a big deal. Rollins versus Reigns, that shouldn't be like the small thing. No, this is the guy that broke up the Shield against the people, the people's champion. When the Shield was together, people worship Reigns, right? He was like this great thing. But now, yeah, they had a great match, but it wasn't a great moment. I want to quickly just bring up two specific examples and then move on to a couple of things that happened this week. When you look back at the Attitude Era, two things stick out for me. Number one, Kane becoming unmasked. That wasn't on a pay-per-view, but they built that up for weeks, for months almost. Like this whole thing of Kane possibly becoming unmasked at one point. One of the first times I went to
wrestling forums was to read about that exact episode.
It's almost like that cage match that Becky Lynch had on Smackdown on Glasgow. Shout out to Glasgow. Love all of you fine folks
Scotland.
Over there. Yeah, I wanted to avoid saying the second part, but you said it, man. But when that happened, Raw shut off, and I recorded that on my VHS. I feel very old right now, and I kept rewinding that, and I too went to forums. I remember Triple H versus Shelton Benjamin. Who remembers that? Who can forget that Stinger splash to the corner, the roll-up victory,
that crowd losing their minds? Yesterday, I think.
Oh, really? Wow.
Someone posted it on Squared Circle.
I did not see that, but I love that so much. Another thing I rewinded. If you ask me right now, what is the last thing that happened on a Raw that I think was that memorable and wanted to have me rewind, even though I can just watch it on YouTube? I have the Shield splitting up.
No,
it's probably
Festival
the last
Friendship.
one.
Festival Friendship.
Well, yeah. I guess that is a good example.
You can't deny that. That was a feud done right on Raw.
But it's not the norm. It's like the exception to the rule, which is the issue.
To the rule.
And I just feel like back in the day, there have been a lot of things like that. But let's see if maybe we're getting somewhere. So remember last week how we talked about Big Cass and Enzo Amore, and you guys told me that there is no way that Big Cass can be the culprit of the beatdowns. Real talk, he wasn't beaten down this week. He just passed out after watching This Is Your Life. He just passed out. He was concussed from that segment, and then the cameras went backstage. But no, real talk, what happened was that I found it interesting how the Revival were being seen there. They actually cut back, so props to the WWE. They cut back to footage of Raw last week where they were seen in the background. But then Kurt Angle is saying just like, man, the Revival were seen leaving. And then you see Big Cass become irate. You see Big Cass talking to Corey Graves. Corey Graves, and Kurt Angle were exchanging texts, which may be another thing. But it does seem like, according to some rumors, and definitely based on what we saw on Raw, that Big Cass and Enzo Amore are going to be splitting up. And one of the reasons being, and it makes a lot of sense, you got the Hardy Boys. If you want a babyface tag team that people love, you have that with the Hardy Boys for life. Enzo Amore and Big Cass are not necessary right now. Do you think that this is then a good option where maybe you break out Big Cass and do something with them? Because right now, they've been doing a lot of nothing.
I kind of fear what would happen to Enzo, but I mean, he can always be a great manager for somebody. If that's the route they want to go, I'm kind of fine with it, because there's really nowhere for them to go in the tag division right now. So that would actually be an interesting angle to do. It'd be a very kind of lopsided feud to have Big Cass versus Enzo. But it would get some sympathy for Enzo, and definitely a lot of people would be disliking Cass if he's just beating the hell out of some small guy. And we know Vince loves to see Enzo get ragdolled around, so he'll be loving that.
That's the strong possibility. I'm wondering how long they're going to do this. But now, here's the second thing that I know we just talked about WWE and complain a little bit, but this is more of a message for us wrestling fans. Like, people online are already speculating. And I saw so many people saying, WWE, please don't have it be Big Cass now because it's so obvious. The problem is that all of us fantasy book every possible outcome. So eventually we're not surprised by any of the results, right? So at the same time, you got to give WWE a little bit of slack for just going, okay, we've thought about everything, but what do you want? Is Enzo going to end up concussing himself? And that's the big swerve? Like, really, if it's not Revival, if it's not Big Cass, unless it's like an NXT call-up or something, I think people are going to be upset regardless. So I'm going to stick by the fact that I think it should be Big Cass.
Yeah, I wouldn't be upset if it's Cass. I mean, that's the thing about wrestling angles is, to take this one for example, if it's the Revival then it's predictable. If it's Big Cass, it's predictable because that's the way angles work now. It's like it's either the super obvious one or like the big twisty answer, right? Like they're damned if they do and they're damned if they don't because they're, we're already speculating all possibilities. So yeah, really, if they want to, like, sometimes an angle just doesn't make sense because they want to swerve people. So yeah, if it ends up being some random NXT guy, it's like, well, why was he even attacking Enzo? Did he really even have a motivation? No, they just wanted to swerve people, essentially. And that's when kind of things get dumb in wrestling, is when they are done just to throw people off. And then the story doesn't actually make sense. Whereas Cass could have tons of ammo for why he wanted to attack Enzo, like he would rather have a capable wrestling tag partner. Or, he runs his mouth too much and he's been carrying him for years.
Yeah,
There's so much they could do with
wheel.
that, as opposed to like, oh, Aleister Black just wanted to beat the crap out of Enzo Amore.
Which would be hilarious.
Yes, it
would. But
would.
not what we're here for. So I feel like we got to at least dedicate a couple of minutes to Nakamura. I thought that I was one of the only people that sort of noticed this, but there was a thread online and a lot of tweets that we got about Nakamura's entrance just sort of not being fun. I'll never forget that first entrance with Sami Zayn versus Nakamura, where just the whole spectacle, it was so great. But now, what the hell is up with WWE's obsession with this unnecessary pyro sound? There aren't any actual pyrotechnics going off. Yet two or three times during his entrance, which was stupid. It's stupid. So then, like, Nakamura, they got rid of like most of the things, most of the video packages for his entrance. There's the whole yellow text and Asian font thing, which I don't know if we want to get to, but there's a lot of speculation how it's funny how in NXT he had like unique font, but even the text is like stereotypically Asian. And then we get the pyro. And I'm just not a big fan of all of these things. I think it's just a thing that if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Here's the way that I see it. If Nakamura got called up to the main roster based on his success on NXT, let that success flow. The man just showed up in the main roster, right? Give people a chance to just check out how he was in NXT. If it doesn't work, then fine. But you're not even letting him breathe without already, changing stuff. And the other thing that I want to get to you is Nakamura talking. Because when Nakamura talking, I have trouble listening to him as well. And we're officially now in this thing where Nakamura is just a regular member of the roster. He's going to be wrestling every week. Is WWE almost making him not sound great on purpose? Because, like, for those that haven't, check out Nakamura on Talk is Jericho. That is an audio-only podcast, and I could understand him fine. So I don't get what's happening here. Is he camera shy? Like, what do you make of this?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, you were talking about letting Nakamura breathe. I feel like on this show, we need to let Nakamura breathe a little bit. So they're changing his entrance a little bit. I mean, the thing is, when he becomes a regular member of the roster, the truth is he's not going to be special. He's not going to be special anymore. His entrance eventually kind of has to get normalized. It can't be a special entrance every single time. So that's something we just have to accept. I'd rather have him be a regular member of the roster.
But he's an artist.
Yeah. But because some people would rather have him be more of an attraction type of thing, like Brock Lesnar or whatever. I really don't think that's the way to go. I'm perfectly fine with him just being a regular member of the roster. He's just another asset for SmackDown Live. The promo thing, though, I do agree. I have to really concentrate to be able to understand him, so I don't know why they give him so many lines. I mean, I don't know what they're doing with Hideo Itami right now, but before he used to just kind of whoop people's asses. He didn't really have to speak.
And he can speak a lot. He can speak much better English in comparison.
I just feel like they could make Nakamura more of a silent badass, or just kind of say one thing or another, but it really seems like they're forcing.
Just do the hand thing.
Yeah, at least he took the mouth guard out. So
we
get that.
Progress.
So that is progress. Maybe maybe he's just got to get better. Like, the more he does it, the more he'll get better. Let's see where it goes. 6 months from now, if it's still a problem, maybe we can say, all right, let's keep Nakamura more silent.
But what we're talking about now is Mr. Luke Harper. I don't know what's up, where all of a sudden he's a human being. He had an
Well,
exclusive, he had an exclusive clip that was up on the YouTube channel talking to Aiden English. But before that, he was talking to his cameraman about his family, his 4 chickens, his dogs, his cats, in a completely normal voice tone, like just talking like a normal guy. And talk about this contrast of no transition, just all of a sudden, boom. I get that this is kind of a backstage thing, but Aiden English was in full character, so it almost seems like maybe they're gonna go the route where he is completely eloquent and a genius, even though he looks like
so the
Luke
Eric
Harper.
Rowan route that they went before.
I guess they're not trying it out with Harper, man.
Yeah, the thing is, all roads lead to just being normal, right? Like, it's like the Kofi Kingston effect. Eventually, he's got to drop the Jamaican accent, right? You know, that's what I kind of look at with Luke Harper. If they want Luke Harper to be a successful babyface, he's got to start just being able to communicate with people and being able to cut a promo in a relatable way. So I think it's just, this is maybe like a pilot for that. They put it on .com. It's a little under the radar. Let's see how people react to Luke Harper just kind of talking normally. It is weird. It didn't feel right because I'm so used to it. But I also know that if they want to make Luke Harper a star, I feel like this might be the necessary way to go, unless they just have him be completely silent. But I don't know, Luke Harper, I feel like I could open up to this. It's just a little jarring because we're so used to Wyatt family Luke Harper.
It's just so great that they're finally moving him up to like the English tier on SmackDown. You know, like building up those future stars. So
yeah,
super happy about that. The New Day is back. Did you gyrate while you were watching SmackDown?
But I did miss them. It's really nice to have them back.
Yeah, and we got the best of both worlds because the moment that the Usos were talking, which they keep being on fire, you know, the New Day comes out.
Somebody better put them out.
No, man. Day one is H, and I want that H to remain there forever because they're like this whole combination. The reason why I bring this up is that I was very worried about Breezango. I even mentioned this last week, and even SmackDown, they have an hour or less. They have 2 different tag team things happening. They got the tag team title scene, and they even got Breezango. And they made me care about a match with the Colognes. That takes skill.
It took me way too long to get the Cologne thing, by the way. I laughed out loud immediately. After that match happened, I was like, so what was the Cologne about? Like, yeah, it was. I'm that dumb.
It's those little things, but about the New Day, man, I think it's super great how they're just going right in, just saying we're going to take your championships. Like you mentioned a little earlier, sometimes simplicity is nice. Like you don't need this overly elaborate thing. So they were the longest reigning tag team in recent WWE history. So why not just do that? You know, their resume speaks for itself. So I think it's just a matter of building up the Usos to that New Day level. Because right now, the Usos are the most solidified tag team in WWE. But the New Day are not even a tag team. They are a staple of WWE right now, right? Like they're in the whole, they're a cereal box.
They're above it a little bit, yeah.
So the Usos need a cereal box. The day one-ish O's.
Uso
I'll take
penitentiary 5. O's.
Flakes. I'll take 8.
What? Never mind. Anyway, so the New Day, first of all, no number 1 contender match. Typical. SmackDown's starting to worry me. I know Keith would probably argue me here on the whole...
I'll side with Keith on this one.
I know they're all successful and all that, whatever. Anyway, it's great to have the New Day back because even though I know they kind of went away because of Kofi's injury, I felt that was a smart thing to do to take them all off of TV because the New Day had a hell of a run. For like 2 years straight, they were like on every single Raw. It was time. I think people needed a little break for them. And now that they're back, it's like, man, I really miss these guys. It's so good to have them back instead of just being kind of tired of people after seeing them on TV week in and week out. I mean, this right here, if you want to make a case for superstars need to be on sort of a rotation where some people take, a month, 2 months off and then you're on for, 10 months or whatever, there's your case in point right there. New Day feels awesome to have them back. You're refreshed. You're ready for, what they're going to do on SmackDown. And this was a great promo between these two guys. So I am excited for the matchup, despite, and opportunities just getting hit in a land of opportunities, just throwing opportunities, not really having to earn them. But yeah, I'm excited for this feud, and it's exactly what the Usos need right now. SmackDown Tag Division is at least the biggest winner coming out of the shakeup, for sure.
So then we have the fashion foul. It's usually my favorite thing of the entire week. It was so ridiculous, over the top,
might be the best
dumb,
one.
stupid. Like, first of all, I love the whole thing of like this whole noir thing, even though it's clearly backstage on a modern day arena. None of it makes sense. They have the silhouette where it's like a beautiful woman, and it's Tyler Breeze. The fact that they could both listen to each other's thoughts. This is where any complain about like wrestling having to be too serious. I don't know if you can tell. I don't want WWE or wrestling as a whole to be too serious. I could find that really boring. This is my type of comedy. Stupid and nonsensical, and it involves Fandango, man. I can't ask for any more.
This was phenomenal. Like, we're all worried what's going to happen with Breezango, and then basically right after that tag segment, we get, the next thing we see essentially is this noir style vignette, which was just so amazing. Like, it was just so perfectly done. The Freeze dirtbag. No, Breeze dirtbag. Like, that was just hilarious. Everything about that was so good. So it doesn't look like they have a big program right now, but they need to find some other team for them to feud with. I don't know. They're keeping them relevant right now. They're realizing people love the Fashion Files. So at the very least, keeping them on TV every week is great. I mean, what are the tag teams that are left? They got American Alpha, they got the Ascension, and they have the Colognes. And that's it?
But even then, it's fine. Like, it's really smart that they have this whole cop route. I've mentioned before, I love Law & Order. Every episode, it's a new case. So every week, it can just be a justification for the match. Sometimes we complain about these random matches that happen. Here it is. Just find something really dumb and stupid, but that it makes sense in their world. Maybe they just need to turn Alpha heel and
have them feud with Breezango.
That would even make sense, man. Like, start poking fun at them and just how normal they are. But then the other thing you got to give credit, as ridiculous as this is, they're establishing things. Like, Breeze is not just undercover Breeze. He's not using 20 different, outfits. He has the grandma and he has the janitor. Those are two mainstays there, and I love that, right? How it's just a matter of like, when is he going to pull that up?
I saw someone dressed as the janitor at Raw. Like, you could see him behind the other announcers, I think, or where the announce table used to be. I was like, that's amazing. That's now going to be like a great thing to dress as when you go to a show, because it's super easy to do.
It just makes absolute sense, and you're guaranteed undercover Breeze for Halloween. Like, the whole fact that people are going to have like the wrestling tights, but then they're going to be dressed up as a janitor. I think it makes absolute sense, the fact that Breeze is incredibly talented in the ring, but he never had that chance to shine. Here it is. All it took was becoming a janitor. Who knew?
Who knew?
And then the last thing that we're going to get to before we talk about our Extreme Rules predictions is a long-standing rumor later confirmed. So we had this 5-woman qualifier match for a women's title match at the next pay-per-view. And then all hell broke loose. Shane McMahon confirmed that we will be getting a 5-woman Money in the Bank ladder match. We actually got a question from one of our longtime supporters, Caroline, who asked, what do you think of the women's Money in the Bank ladder match concept? I am delighted with the opportunity. Would love to see Becky win it. How do you feel about it, man? It's confirmed, and that crowd erupted. And you can even see the emotion and the woman. Like, Charlotte had teary eyes. She was trying to hide them, but they were there, and rightfully so.
I'm all for it. I mean, give equal opportunities. I'm still a little confused as to why Money in the Bank is this SmackDown exclusive show, because it seems like a huge advantage that Raw doesn't have. But regardless, I think it's great. If the men get one, the women should get one. We're trying to do this equal playing field, and I think it makes complete sense. The way they went about booking it was a little strange, but I'm not going to complain. I'm happy they kept it as a ladder match too, because there were some rumors that they might not do a ladder match because they're worried like the women are going to get hurt or whatever. I hope they're careful and they don't kill themselves. We've seen Charlotte and Sasha be a little reckless sometimes with some of their matches and stuff. So I really hope that they play it really safe, because obviously ladders, I mean, I don't know if they're going to lower it or whatever, because I mean, these women are just generally smaller. If they're taking the same bump as a guy, they have a higher chance of getting hurt.
Yeah, the ladder's not going to give. Even though they use wooden ladders, they don't give as easily. You know, you don't have a 250-pound guy falling through it.
Going off a ladder, hitting the canvas, like that is, you know, that's probably going to hurt a woman more than it's going to hurt a guy, just because there's, you know, less, you know, they're just smaller individuals. So, you know, I don't know if they're going to lower the briefcase lower than what they have the guys. But, yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it. I just hope everyone doesn't do anything reckless. And I really hope James Ellsworth takes a hell of a bump.
Oh, that is guaranteed
it's
to
gonna
happen. Although, it's kind of weird how Naomi was basically unbooked for Money in the Bank, because like she doesn't have a match now.
They literally put every woman in the division in that match, so Naomi just kind of lucks out. Hey, guess what? You get to keep the title a month longer without having to defend it.
Although at the same time, it sort of, I mean, not to the Brock Lesnar extent, but it makes you build up that much more for that. And I think it's kind of okay when you don't defend the championship every month right now, especially on SmackDown. Raw has a big roster, right? Even though Brock Lesnar's not even there right now, he's going to be there at the Great Balls of Fire, possibly. What voice was that? Was that Mr. Hankey?
But
Mr. Hankey?
Come to think of it, though, Naomi didn't have to defend her title at Backlash either, so she's really lucking out.
Man, all she needs is Paul Heyman. She's good to go.
Yeah. At least she shows up on the TV show.
But overall, I think Becky Lynch should probably be the one to win. But is that almost like the too obvious of a pick? Because like a Carmella could work. Because Carmella would give you the dynamic between Ellsworth and Carmella. We talked about the possibility of Ellsworth becoming a Money in the Bank winner. This is almost the same, right? Where he could act like...
Did we talk about Ellsworth becoming a Money in the Bank winner?
No, but like the possibility of how crazy that would be. And this would be basically that. Like he could treat that almost as if he won the Money in the Bank.
I can already see him carrying the briefcase for her. So it could definitely work. It really seems like Charlotte is just the favorite regardless, but at the same time, they could just want to put the title on her sooner than when they want to do a cash-in.
Exactly.
I would like Carmella. Carmella would be kind of like the most intriguing answer.
I'm sold on that, man. I really want to see that happen. Everybody listening, definitely on Twitter, by that cast, let us know who you would love to see. Almost got through with that. When the Money in the Bank Women's Ladder match. So, that being said, let's get to talking about our Extreme Rules 2017 predictions.
What's your hype level, Juan? What is your hype level for this show?
Oh, man. It is at a solid 1 out of 4. Like, this is not being a smart ass or anything. I really am not excited about the show. I don't care. I'm going to watch it, and I have no doubt at all that the Universal Championship match is going to be great. But the hype level is...
When Monday Night Raw was on, I was like, oh, crap. Extreme Rules really is this Sunday, isn't it? Like, I feel nothing. I'm with you. It's 1 out of 4 hype level. Mojo Rawley would be a sad man. Man,
he would need to go through extreme lengths to get hype for this one. So let's just talk about each match, and maybe at the end we pump ourselves up a little bit. And if you're listening and you're not feeling pumped up, then maybe we help out, maybe we don't. So first up, we have the mixed tag team match. Really interesting bout. Rich Swann and Sasha Banks against Noam Dar and Alicia Fox. So for the first time, we are seeing a match showcasing two different divisions in the same match. Did they call themselves
Team Hot Mess or something like that?
I would not be opposed to that.
God. Just have Rich Swann and Sasha Banks win this, and let's move on.
I'm actually going to have to disagree. I'm going to have to say Noam Dar and Alicia Fox, just because I think that's a really fun pairing. I think it's really easy to have Sasha Banks win this type of match. I don't see this scheduled for a pre-show match, but if there's any match that's going to go down to pre-show, it's probably this one. Pre-show? See, our pre-show is worth listening to, and that pre-show would be worth watching. Like, I really, you got to say, like, you got to give 205 Live a chance there.
You're looking real jacked, baby. You're looking real jacked, baby.
Oh, man. That was so
Booker
awkward.
T has a t-shirt of that now, by the way.
Oh, man. See, that man is a genius.
He's smart. He's like, maybe if I say something 13 times, I can make
a t-shirt out of it. Does he have a Shucky Ducky Quack Quack shirt?
I don't know, but he does have the greatest, like, stinger graphic or whatever you call it ever.
Yeah. Just all the ducks coming out. So now, Cruiserweight Championship match. This is the third times the charm match, submission match. Neville defends against Austin Aries. So we've seen this. We saw this match live at WrestleMania. We've seen it afterwards, and now we get it yet another time. How's your hype level for this one, knowing that these are two guys that can definitely go at it? Maybe the submission match sort of reignites a fire in it. I'm feeling okay with it. The fire is definitely burning out on this one.
The fire burns always. I gotta go with... I'm actually gonna pick Austin Aries for this match. Because otherwise, what the hell are we doing here? Why are we doing, like, their third match if we're just going to have Austin Aries lose again? So I think he's going to get the quote-unquote upset because we're all expecting such a long reign from Neville. I think this will be a good match. My hype level's not really there just because, I don't know, as much as I like both of these guys, I'm just, my hype level for Extreme Rules in general is just kind of low. But I hope this is a good match.
Yeah, Sam, I think it's about time that Austin Aries gets the championship. It's a submission match. Neville tapped out on Raw, so I think it's the best of both worlds. You get a great match out of it. You get Austin Aries finally being able to be champion and go to that next level, the A-double level, which I'm looking forward to seeing. So up next, the Raw Tag Team Championship match. We have the Hardy Boys that have yet to really be broken, although they are deleting things a little bit, taking on Cesaro and Sheamus in a steel cage match. So before predicting, how do you feel about it? We've historically talked about cage matches, how we're kind of meh on them. But I think the combination of the Hardy Boys is like high-flying and creativity mixed with like Cesaro and Sheamus with a, in-your-face style could lend itself to a pretty good cage match, right?
Yeah, I mean, we got Jeff Hardy in this match, which means... He jumping off the cage, man. He probably going to be jumping off that cage. I'm actually going to predict that Cesaro and Sheamus win this one. So I'm predicting 2 title changes already. The Hardys have won a lot since they've come back. So I think they're going to kind of switch it up a bit and actually let Cesaro and Sheamus win. It's because the Hardys have just been winning just a little too much that it feels like that reverse momentum theory is going to come into play.
Yeah, I agree, man. I think that momentum is there. And although I agree that they could win, I'm actually still going to stick with the Hardys. Just because I think that if you are getting rid of Enzo and Cass and, the New Day are on SmackDown, I think there's a lot of money to be had with the Hardys as champions. And if the whole legal trouble was solved with the whole broken characters, then I would say, of course. So you beat the crap out of them again, and then you start that. But because apparently that may not be happening yet, I just don't see the championships changing unless they can evolve the characters. Because otherwise, it's just going to be the Hardys. And it's cool to see them, and they're having really solid matches on Raw. Like, don't get me wrong, but substance. I want a little bit more of it. Raw Women's Championship match. We have Alexa Bliss defending against Bayley on a kendo stick on a pole match. Bro, how do you feel about this one?
Bro, let me tell you, bro, about this match. I think that they're going to give this to Bayley. Bro, you ready for this, bro? The kendo stick on a pole match is the greatest match ever invented, bro, and Bayley is gonna win that match, bro. I do think Bayley's gonna win. I mean, they've been metaphorically whooping her ass as a character that they need to save her by having her win this. As much as I like Alexa Bliss, and she could hold the title for forever for all I care, they need to give this to Bayley because goddamn, have they really just messed her up.
Despite all that, I think that Alexa Bliss is going to retain. If WWE has shown us anything, is that when they kick you down and you're down, They bury you.
Yeah, when
they will find
when
ways
they
to
beat
get
you up
in
so
deep.
bad you're in a wheelchair, they push you off the stage.
Exactly, man. So naturally, she is going to be kendo stick to hell, and just when it looks like she's about to win, she's going to get kendo sticked a little bit more, and then she's going to lose. I think Bayley as a character, man, if she wins, then I guess, we're back on track. But if she loses, and even if she wins, I guess in a way, I just don't see what that character is. I think that Charlotte and Alexa, like the roles that they've been given, not the actual people, have murdered that character. Like, where do you go with that character? The kids love her because, she's a very likable person, but I would be ashamed to be Bayley. If I was Bayley, I would be ashamed to be a wrestling fan because at some point, everybody keeps telling me I should be ashamed to be a wrestling fan, I guess, so I'll buy into it. You force feed me that on TV. At some point, I got to believe it, even if it's not actually true. So next up, Intercontinental Championship match. I'm very sad about this match because I just even though the stipulation is interesting, I feel like the hype level from how this was on SmackDown Live to then transitioning to Raw has plummeted, like hard. Dean Ambrose defends against The Miz.
Yeah, the stock of both of these guys has definitely been in question, especially The Miz. The Miz was like on the cusp of WWE Championship level before WrestleMania. Now it's like, The Miz who? I like the no DQ, the DQ title change stipulation because, we talked about last week that it's basically the complete opposite of everything else on the card. So it's kind of interesting in that way. And I'm going with so many damn title changes this time, but I think The Miz is going to win the title because Maurice is probably going to punch him or something. And I don't know, I think that will happen. And if they don't do that 2 seconds in, then they're dumb because why do we just have a random match and then Maurice punches
Ryan,
him?
already fantasy booking.
Yeah. But you know what I mean? If that was your stipulation, do they ever play to, they never actually think about if somebody was in that match in real life, what would they actually do? They need to incorporate that a little more often. Because if that was the stipulation, I'd be like, hey, whoever, my friend, whatever, punch me 5 seconds into this match so that I can win the title. So that should happen. And then maybe Kurt Angle comes out and is like, this ain't a real match. So because you abused that stipulation, we're going to make this a no DQ match or a lumberjack match or whatever. But even still, I think The Miz will walk out Intercontinental Champion.
What I think The Miz should do is just watch a lot of Undertaker versus Brock Lesnar matches and segments. Learn from The Undertaker. The kick to the nuts is real. It's devastating, and it will get you a championship opportunity. But no, what's going to happen is that Marie should kick The Miz in the nuts. Get away with it.
She doesn't have to.
Why not? Just have fun with it. No, but yeah, the real scenario is that the match should start out and the DQ should immediately happen. It's like you mentioned, have fun with that and then have your normal match. It can almost be The Miz defending the championship because if he abuses that, but that was the stipulation, he's well within his right. So actually do this where it's not restarting the match. The Miz has to defend the championship just after winning it. I
agree. And I know, I think Meltzer was actually talking about this match. I had read something and he was, basically, I forget whoever he was talking with, it might have been Alvarez or whatever. They were saying watch them have a 15-minute match and then Maurice hits The Miz. And it's what sense does that ever make? Why would you do that? Why would you just have the match? You could have lost in those 10 minutes.
What are you doing?
I'm applying logic. I know I did a bad thing.
We've talked about this, Ryan. It's wrestling.
I did a bad.
We have a dead man with an undefeated streak for quite some time. And then, he went down the middle of the ramp.
Why can't we have logic? Why am I asking too much? Why do I always ask too much just to have a little bit of logic?
Because then, you know why? Because then Irish whips would never exist, man. Those ropes would be so damn unnecessary. Because apparently by me grabbing your hand...
that means Dean Ambrose wouldn't have that awful clothesline. You know what? Maybe Irish whips just aren't worth it, all right? Did you ever think of that?
Just scrap all of that completely.
Why don't people just run out the door
line.
the second the cage match starts? Just immediately bash through that door and dive out. You could win so fast.
The logical version of wrestling would just be Idiocracy the movie turn into a wrestling show. Just kick to the nuts at the beginning of the match. What if you kick yourself to the nuts? You get yourself disqualified like that somehow. I don't know. Wrestling is just dumb. It doesn't make sense. But that's why we love it. I mean, that's why I love Breezango. So, that being said, let's get to talking about the main event after that masterful conversation we just had. The Universal title #1 contenders match, because the champion is just not available right now. So we have Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins versus Finn Balor versus Bray Wyatt versus a Joe that is Samoan.
Jamoa
in an extreme Jamoa So, man. Extreme Rules Fatal 5-Way match. Why is Bray Wyatt gonna be the guy to get pinned the same way he was on Raw?
What are you talking about, Juan? I'm gonna pick Bray Wyatt to win this.
Ha!
LOL. Nope. He's probably going to be the eater of pins in this match. I'm keeping my tradition. Not that it's very difficult here. I'm keeping my tradition of picking against Bray Wyatt from now until forever, no matter what, in pay-per-view predictions. But this is an easy one. I'm going to say Finn Balor. Got to go with the Damon. Because unless they want to get Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar over with, which I'm sure most of us can say, hey, let's just drink it in, man.
Edward Show.
You know, let's just take the bad now instead of the bad later. But if we're going by what I think is actually going to happen, I think Finn Balor will win. He will face Brock Lesnar at Great Balls of Fire.
Thank you.
And will lose.
I gotta agree as well, man. I think that initially a lot of people, I mean, including you and Keith, were seeing Roman Reigns, but it just doesn't make sense. I think that this is the stalling tactic that WWE has had for a while, which is just they were waiting to pull the trigger on Finn Balor, on the Demon, and they're finally going to be able to do that. And it makes sense that, you know, if you're going to, wear the face paint finally, because you have all these t-shirts, all these action figures, you do that for the match for the Beast, because I guarantee you...
The Beast versus the Damon.
Exactly, man. Like, that poster has already been printed out.
Yeah, they're going to make an action figure set of, like, a weird... Well, they've already done the actual Demon action figure of Finn Balor.
Yeah, the mutant one.
I don't know if they must have a Beast one of Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, he looks like Goro. He's got 4 arms instead of 2. Yeah.
So they already got the action figure set then. Never mind.
So people, if you want to know where WWE's going to go down the line, just take a look at their action figures or posters or something.
That's what Vince McMahon actually imagines these people are.
Brock's got 4 arms. Take on the Demon. Unleash the Demon.
It's really like, if Roman beats Lesnar at Great Balls of Fire, is that really any, like... does doing it at WrestleMania really feel that much more important? I feel, you know what I mean? These guys have already fought at a WrestleMania. It's already just not going to feel that big, I don't think.
Because there's no follow-up. Eventually, Roman Reigns is going to win. Like, you guys have beaten this into every listener's head at this point. It's going to happen eventually. The problem is that there's no turning point. There's no after. What happens after Reigns becomes champion? The answer is... Reigns is just champion. He's already done everything else. He's already beaten everybody else on the way to becoming the champion, including Lesnar himself, when he eventually becomes the champion, right? He's already beaten Finn Balor. He's already beaten Seth Rollins. He's already beaten Bray Wyatt. Then again, so is everybody else. He's probably beaten you, Ryan, and even you didn't realize that.
Probably. You know the funny thing about, like, all the Roman hate in comparison to John Cena is that Roman Reigns gets so much hate, and he's, like, not even been champion that long at all. Like, his title reigns have been, like, really, really short. That's the funny thing. Like, at least when people complained about John Cena, he was champion for, like, a year straight over a year at one point, and still held the title the vast majority of the time during at least the early years of his run. Like, he always had that title. And what? Is this, like, you could say 2 years into Roman Reigns trying to be the guy, and he's barely been champion?
Yeah. I mean, it's a case of overexposure. Like,
Yeah, it's really like the title doesn't matter. It's just how somebody is booked. Just an
you
interesting
look.
thought, though.
I mean, look back. Look no further than when CM Punk was World Heavyweight Champion. People forgot he was a champion, and the man feuded with the Undertaker.
It took him like what? How many months before he finally got to main event a pay-per-view again?
Yeah. Like the
he went from like TLC
matter.
to like Night of Champions is when he finally got to main event a pay-per-view again because we had to put John Cena versus John Laurinaitis as the final match on a crappy B pay-per-view.
Like, if becoming a champion is the end-all be-all to represent shows, Brock Lesnar would never become champion. The Rock would never become champion. So we need to get out of our heads that a champion means something today, because it doesn't. Which goes right back to what I said earlier, that when Roman Reigns becomes champion, nothing will change. Because the only thing that's going to happen is losing the championship to then, guess what? Here's the thing. He's going to win it back. He's going to win it back to then lose it again. To then, wait for it, Ryan. Can you guess what happens when he loses the championship?
He'll eventually win it back again?
Whoa! Ryan, that's crazy talk. And that right there is the big issue with Raw. When everybody is like at that same level, nobody feels like this like next level star. Because like Roman Reigns is supposed to be that guy, but people are already saying, dude, we're burnt out on you before you're even that star.
Well,
John Cena at least went up, you know.
Well, okay, though. I kind of have an argument to that, though. If you John Cena, the issue with John Cena was that he was in a tier of his own, right? This is talking before Brock Lesnar and Undertaker. He's there, but he works like once a year. John Cena is in his own friggin' level. So when like Mark Henry comes up to feud with John Cena, you're like, what are we even doing here? John Cena's gonna whoop his ass, even though he gave this hell of a retirement speech, because how they've booked Mark Henry in the past, there's no chance that they're giving him the title. So you're just like, here's like, you know, he feuds with Ryback. Oh, Ryback's never gonna beat Cena for the title. And it's never a believable feud. You could look back to like the Attitude Era, and it's like, oh, you got The Rock, you got The Undertaker, you got Stone Cold. All these guys, you feel like any month of the year could win the title from the other guy. And I think it's important to have at least a crop of guys up there that you feel like could be champion at any moment. You think back to, you know, Smackdown during the first brand split with Brock Lesnar and Kurt Angle. You had Undertaker there as well. It's like, oh, any of those guys could be champion at any moment, you know. When you do something, what they're trying to do with Roman Reigns is get him, if they get him to that John Cena level, then it gets dangerous when one guy is too big for everyone else. Even though Stone Cold was a huge star, you still felt like he had a chance to lose. I mean, most of his title reigns were not super, super long. So that's the thing. John Cena got too big, at least booking wise, for everyone else. And right now I don't think Roman Reigns is quite there. And that might actually be a good thing.
I think the big problem there is there's a difference between a huge star and a huge character. Case in point, let's take a look at Reigns and let's take a look at Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt is a huge character. Whether we poke fun at the fact that he loses there all the time and not, you don't doubt that he believes in who he is, right? You look at Roman Reigns, where his character is, I beat people up. Like, that's what it's come down to essentially, right? There's not a lot there. He's a huge star, though. He's the one that sells the merchandise, not Bray Wyatt. I think WWE has a huge problem of meshing those two together, where it's like, to get to the Stone Cold level, you don't need to be the top of the company. Because like Stone Cold was not at the top of the top of the company when people loved him. His character was so damn good.
I mean, he was at the top of the company.
But if the character was not big, the superstar would have never been born. Like, the character came first. Like, the whole reason the Austin 316 shirts happened, like, it wasn't this logical, well, he's going to sell merchandise. How did that come to be, right? There were signs all over the place.
It wasn't, Austin's champion. It's because of something he did as a character. Yeah, no, I agree with you that you can be a big star without being, like, invincible and booked to, like Superman, like John Cena. Like I said, Austin was a huge star, one of the biggest stars of all time, but he didn't look like this. He wasn't this invincible, unstoppable being like John Cena was for a very long period of time. And that's what they need to be careful with Roman Reigns is, yes, make him the big mainstream star that you want him to be, but don't put him in a tier where he is booked above everyone else to such a degree that there is no believable contender. And that's what I'm trying to say.
So when it all comes down to it, we still have ourselves a problem with Raw. After all of this, the real thing is that Extreme Rules should be an enjoyable show. We should get a couple of solid matches, but the aftermath is still something that we're just not excited about. So if there's a particular match you're really excited about, we would love to know. Send us an email, bytethatcast@gmail.com, or on Twitter, bytethatcast, which if you're going to be sending us questions, you can do so there as well. We're also there on Facebook. If you can use the hashtag AskBT on Twitter if you want to send us questions, and then we will definitely take a look at them. Ryan, you ready?
As usual, I forget I have to do questions until right
it
up.
It happens every time. Yeah, every time. Right up
doing them. I know. I just think Keith is going to pop up and start reading me questions, but not today. Not today. All right. So, getting into our questions, which you can. Did you already do the question spiel? Okay.
Do you
good.
not listen to what I say?
I'm sorry. I was so nervous about doing questions. I wasn't listening. All right. Our first question comes from Damien S. And they say, "Hey guys, finally back with a question. I'm surprised how much heat the Drifter is getting. Because of the similarity of the gimmicks, do you think that Samson maybe could become the modern honky tonk man? And if yes, where do you see his ceiling? Keep up the good work. I'm a longtime listener and your podcast is the highlight of my week. Greetings from Germany." Well, thank you. I'll start with this one. I think, in a way, he definitely could become sort of a honky-tonk man to even, like, we made comparisons to the Thugonomics John Cena, right? Where you kind of make a song about your opponent in a like, entertaining way. Either you're saying crap about the, the good guy, or you can make fun of the bad guy. It could work either way, face or heel. Right now, though, I feel like he does it in a way that it is drawing people to kind of be annoyed with his music, and that's a good way to get people to boo you. So I think his ceiling could honestly be, comparing it to John Cena, it could be it could be world championship level, but the thing is, you kind of have to reinvent yourself before you get to that main event level. You can always start with sort of a silly gimmick and then it transforms. Look at Triple H. He starts with this pretty rich boy gimmick, and then you eventually evolve into something a little more serious, a little bit more legitimate for main event status.
Yeah, this gets you noticed. This gets
exactly.
This gets
and this is what
open.
you got to do. This is a process, and it's happened for many, many years, and it works. Like, eventually you do have to kind of normalize a bit if you want to be taken seriously as a main event caliber guy. But getting noticed with a gimmick like this, I think, is perfectly fine, and it's a great mid-card act that you can then take and then transform that.
Yeah, this is money, because as a bad guy, as a good guy, he can, cut promos while singing about his opponent, about his spot. I'm very surprised at just how much people boo him, because he's a pretty passive guy. Like, he's singing in a heel form, but not in this over-the-top boomy thing. Like, people see him with a guitar, and they instantly boo the guy. So they got something. They just got to milk that to the point that every crowd is going to not want to wait to boo the man. And that's how you have something great. But then the thing is, how do you build upon that once the match starts? I think you look back at a Mizdow. And I think not the Miz, Damien Sandow had a problem where people loved all the character stuff that he did mimicking the Miz. The problem was that once the match started and he was just him, like not the Miz stuff, people stopped caring. So how do you take that guitar playing guy into the match and have that make sense? Tyler Breeze did that in NXT with the selfie stick, right? He managed to find different things like, let me take a selfie here, let me just pose a little quickly during the match. If he can somehow blend that together, we got ourselves a big superstar in the making.
So thank you for the question. Our next question comes from Liam V. Hey guys, hope you're doing well. I've pretty much not watched WWE now since just after the brand split. I just listened to this podcast for all my WWE needs. We are happy to provide that, sir. I will read up on the results, etc. Then I'll go watch those WWE YouTube clips if there is anything worth watching on there. I'm just curious, are there any other Byte That fans out there that do the same? Thanks a lot, guys, and thank you for the podcast each and every week. So I guess this is a question for our audience to answer.
We are the gateway to the world right now.
This is definitely the best way to deliver it on the show that you guys are listening to right now. So let us know, how do you consume WWE on a weekly basis? Do you just go to the YouTube clips? Are you masochists like us and sit through 3-hour Raws each and every week? Or are you like Liam here and you rely on us for coverage and other podcasts as well? Definitely send us a tweet or send us an email, bytethatcast@gmail.com or at bytethatcast. We'll definitely make sure to share any answers next week and, just get a feel for how you guys consume WWE on a weekly basis. With the amount of content there is, there's just so much that people have to watch it in different ways, I imagine. So thank you, Liam. Our next question comes from Justin B. Are we getting close to hashtag Twitterless Keith reviewing Lucha Underground? I've not seen it either, so looking forward to hearing his thoughts. As is tradition, when somebody is missing from the show, there is a question that is directed towards that specific person.
And if you're a longtime listener, this is real. It's not that we cherry pick a question when that person is not on the show.
We just happen to get it this week.
Yeah. And if everything goes according to plan, the three of us should be here for episode 200. We got a couple of games, some trivia stuff. Like, if you're a long-time Byte That listener, you're going to have a hell of a good time listening to episode 200. And we should apparently have a Lucha Underground review by Keith on that episode. So it's going to be story time with Keith.
That should be happening. A jam-packed episode. I'm pretty pumped.
It's not going to be an hour and 20 minutes long. I can almost guarantee that now.
Oh, yeah. It's probably hitting the 2-hour mark. All right, thank you for the question. Our next question comes from Hot Dog Bob for You. Interesting.
Great nickname.
Interesting name. Is this Cypher again? I feel like it is. What's one match that you all love that everybody else hates, and why do you love it?
I actually don't have one match, but I will say one superstar that gets a lot of criticism, but I enjoyed his matches, and that's Batista. I think that a lot of people just said, like, Batista can't wrestle and all that, but he was a brawler, and I loved his spine buster, his Batista bomb. That's easily one of my favorite power bombs of all time, and I think his matches with The Undertaker, matches with Triple H, it's not that people don't talk about them, but in the lists of great brawler matches, Batista really tends to get left out. And I don't get that, because people would always say, well, of course, he's getting carried by The Undertaker. He's getting carried by everybody else. But at some point, it's like people talk about Roman Reigns. If he has all of these consistently good matches, you got to give some credit to the guy. Like, I love the matches that he had with, like, especially the Undertaker one. I think that was super vicious. And he wasn't like that initially. Going all the way back to like when he was on Smackdown, he didn't used to do much. And even early on in Evolution, he didn't find himself. But once he did, man, he was gold.
I was a fan of the James Ellsworth and AJ Styles matches. Like, they were completely ridiculous. I know a lot of people were upset with AJ being, losing to Ellsworth and all this stuff. But you know what? I had a lot of fun with it. So I appreciated that. Off the top of my head, I can't think of anything else, because I wasn't really a big fan of House of Horrors, and I know that's a very controversial match. So I was trying to think of something along the lines of that, because I'm like, Kennel from Hell was just bad. I can't say I liked something like that. I don't know some other ones off the top of my head. It's a very tough one to think of, so only the Ellsworth and Styles one comes to mind. But thank you for the question. Our next question comes from Irish T. I have 2 questions for you. First one is, do you guys think a wrestler on the roster today can pull a 3 different character gimmick like Mick Foley can? If so, who and why? My second question is if you had to make a Mount Rushmore of the great mid-card wrestlers from the Attitude Era until now, who would they be?
Whoa, those are two packed questions.
Two tough questions.
So the first one, off the top of my head, I got Luke Harper. I really do think Luke Harper has the capability of displaying something like that. I mean, look at Luke Harper on this YouTube video that we saw just before we hit the record button, and look at Luke Harper and the Wyatt family. And I think it would be cool if they almost just switch back with no context. Like, he never explains anything. People almost don't react until a couple of weeks later. I think that it's really easy for like a shorter guy to do that. But there's something about this tall guy with this huge beard. He looks like he lives down the street, but then he can also do like suicide dives. He's super athletic in the ring.
Tope suicida.
Well, we're not going to hear that anymore, but Luke Harper has got to be probably my best pick right now.
So Tyler Breeze is almost getting to that point, sort of. But I'm going to kind of go with a cop-out answer and say Goldust. Because Goldust has already done many different characters, so it would be pretty easy for him to do traditional Goldust, then he could do a character without the face paint, and then maybe he brings back one of his shittier characters from like WCW or TNA, or just make a completely new character. But Goldust has always been super
just
talented.
Blocked you for saying that.
Yeah, seriously. But yeah, I mean, that's an easy answer of like, he could definitely do it.
I mean, Matt Hardy, oddly enough. I think Matt Hardy could actually do that.
I mean, Matt Hardy is kind of doing 3 characters at once right now, too.
He's doing like 5, man.
Yeah, realistically, Bray Wyatt could definitely do it if things like shaving a beard and stuff, like having and not having a beard was a possibility, if that was a thing that could exist. Because Bray Wyatt's definitely got the acting chops to pull off like 3 unique characters, I think. So that would be interesting in that way. So now the Mount Rushmore for mid-card wrestlers, Attitude Era until now. So maybe we should limit it to guys who have never been world champion. I think that's fair.
It's tricky, though, because, I mean, off the top of my head, you think about a Jake the Snake Roberts, you can't unremove him from that. You got, your Honky Tonk Man, your Razor Ramon. Like, this can
Mr.
fill up
Perfect.
really, really quickly. Exactly. It feels like he would fill that up so quickly.
So, all right, let's pick one from the Attitude Era, one from like Ruthless Aggression, and one for today. So only stipulation being that they were a mid-card champion and that they were never world champion. So if we had to go Attitude Era...
Wait, but before we go along with this, are we going based on like us as like our personal favorites, or like the overall perception? Like, these are the guys that people talked about?
If you were to say this is like one of the greatest of all time, just on an as objective as possible.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Jack Swagger's out of the picture then.
Probably.
Man, this is hard because I got a lot of picks, but just leaving it down to 4, because like a lot of these are my personal favorites. So I'm just trying to like think right now.
There's a lot of guys like just before the Attitude Era that are all like the best, like Razor Ramon and stuff. So from Attitude Era on, who do we have? Who are some mid-card champions that never won the title?
We probably got a lot of people yelling at us right now.
Like Rikishi or something?
I mean, Rikishi almost got there,
right?
The
Godfather?
Like Brian Pillman? Would Brian Pillman count? I mean, he was involved in the Attitude Era, like in early on, but I think that he's a guy that's really underrated. But the thing is, like, a lot of people associate him with like his tag team work, and then, I mean, he broke out on his own, but I guess you could kind of count him in.
This is tough because, I mean, you want to look at guys that like who eventually kind of rose above the mid-card. Maybe we're approaching this the wrong way. I don't know.
Like, if you look at WWE, because like, here's the problem. I would totally say DDP, but DDP in WWE should never have become a WWE champion. Like, just the way he was presented, you look at a guy like Christian, and to me, I go like, yes, he should have, but should he have really? Like, objectively speaking, I would discard him, even though I was a big fan of Christian.
All right, so let's break the whole world championship rule, because that wasn't even in the question to begin with. So let's go with it, like, primarily that was their spot, was the mid-card. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So Attitude Era, do we want to pick Christian? But even though that was more like a Ruthless Aggression era, like, pick?
Yeah. I know Jake the Snake...
Christian for Ruthless Aggression.
I mean, I definitely go with him. I know that it's from Attitude Era on, but I still gotta throw in Jake the Snake just because his name has got to be in there.
Okay, so we're kind of cheating there. And then today, like recent history, who Dolph Ziggler, you know.
See, that's the problem. Like a lot of these guys, I would go like, I mean, they kind of got
Santino
to what they
Marella.
should be. You know what? Santino, I would totally put above most guys. And I'm getting like 5 shoes thrown at me as I say this.
Santino is like a true mid-card guy, though.
It's somebody that that is their role. Like they are not meant to exceed that. Like that's what the mid-card level is for me.
The spirit of it all.
Like Alex Riley.
That's like lower card forever. Although there was that one time in NXT I believed in him and then never again. Anyway, that is our weird Mount Rushmore.
What is the list?
It's Jake the Snake, Christian, and Santino Marella. That's the only time those 3 will ever be coupled together in anything. So thank you for the question. Our final question comes from Sam H. After Randy Orton RKO'd his son, who would you most like to RKO? I feel like those are 2 unrelated thoughts. So yeah,
did you see the video?
I did. But it's after Randy RKO'd his son, who would you most like to RKO? Like, am I doing the RKO?
This opens up the possibilities. Yeah, man. Like, this opens up the possibilities.
Okay, so for context, I think over Memorial Day, there was a thing where Randy Orton's son was jumping into the pool, and then he out of nowhere RKO'd him. So who would I most like to RKO? I think it would have to be Keith. I think Keith deserves a good old RKO.
Ooh, he's overdue for that one. that was the easy one. By the way,
just
realized
double
Hurricane.
RKO.
I would add Hurricane to my mid-card thing. I'm still looking up different ideas for that.
Still not satisfied with our answer.
Yeah. Also, go to WWE.com. The Sandman's render, quote unquote, has a missing. It has like a white particle to the side of him that didn't get cropped out. And that's killing me right now. But who would I RKO? Thing is, like, the real answers I would not say on this platform. So I'm going to say either Keith. I would say probably Vince McMahon. Just so I could say, it's not even nothing against Vince McMahon. Just imagine the fact that you could put on your resume, I RKO'd Vince McMahon.
Can you put that on your resume? Is that something that'll ever get you a job anywhere?
Hey, Mickie James, I don't know if you listened to her interview on Talk is Jericho. She put like world champion on her, like women's champion on her resume. A couple of people have put that. Because
that's different than women's champion saying like, oh, you got this accolade in the company you work for versus RKO'd Vince McMahon.
Because that takes some balls of fire, man. Like, you put that on a resume. If you put that, I would go, man, that kid does whatever it takes to get to the top. I want that kid right there. He's gutsy.
Why don't you put it on your resume and see what happens? See if you can tell a big enough lie that it actually works.
I hope it doesn't get to that.
So anyway, thank you for the question. That's all the questions for this week.
We got a couple of awesome questions there. Always want to thank you guys for your support. You know, we are still on the road to episode 200. We'll be making sure to just talk about Byte That Memory Lane. We got a lot of content happening on the channel, so we're just going to get to the Byte That update. You know, don't forget that we will be having a stream on June 17th. We're going to be going live on Twitch. We're going to dust off that Twitch channel because it hasn't been used for a little while. We're going to be playing WWE Smackdown versus Raw 2007 on Twitch. Just random question, by the way. Should we stream at some point on YouTube? I'm just throwing that question for everybody in the most general sense possible. Make of that what you will. But we'll be playing the GM mode on 07. So if you want to have just, you know, a good chance to chat with us, we can talk with everybody in a really casual way. We'll be talking as we play that game. Basically, fantasy booking is the whole purpose of that, right? The 3 of us should be there.
Yeah,
can we confirm
and you guys
Keith will
can
be
help
there?
out in the chat. We're going to need some help booking these shows. Whatever, I don't know which brand we're going to pick, but we're going to try and get the best ratings. We're going to try and surpass the terrible Raw ratings that are going on right now. But yeah, we're on the road to episode 200. But what's this? Roadblock, not quite end of the line. we're going to take a quick roadblock to do a BT weekly update. That was great. Juan loved that. He's making the greatest face right now.
Were we kind of already in the update? So you kind of just repeated the update?
Well, this is officially the start of the update.
Because you needed your stinger. You got to hear your voice. Jeebus, man. You got to listen to your own voice. Do you get off on that?
Not going to answer that. So BT weekly update. audibletrial.com/byte that. You can get some sweet audiobooks and also help show some love to Byte that. So you can check that out, audibletrial.com/byte that. T-shirts. We got 2 T-shirts available over at whatamaneuver.net. So go search for Byte that over there. Check out the shirts. If you like one, maybe pick one up. Cup of haters. We are getting close to our second Patreon goal. So if you want to help support us, you can head over to patreon.com/byte that and check out all the cool perks. All the information is over there. So head over there to check that out. So close to episode 200, which we will be announcing the winner of our giveaway. So if you want to enter that, all you have to do is leave a review on either iTunes or Stitcher and just let us know you left it with some proof. Just let us know where.
$25
so we can go look
Amazon
for
gift
yeah,
card.
One lucky winner is going to get $25. We're going $25 gift card. We're going to announce that on episode 200. So you still got a couple weeks left to do that. Again, leave a review on either iTunes or Stitcher and then let us know via Twitter or send us an email. So that's going to do it for this week. One more thing. I'll have a review up for Extreme Rules. So look for that on SoundCloud as well as our YouTube channel, youtube.com/bytethatcast. So I'll try and have that up, maybe about an hour or so after Extreme Rules ends. Sometimes it goes a little long. We'll see what happens, but
it depends on what happens there. And
yeah,
hey,
we'll see. Hype levels are low, but maybe this show will be a pleasant surprise.
But if you're an audio listener, if you're on the road, you may have noticed that this past weekend you got treated to a bonus audio clip where we actually present to you Debate That. So Debate That is a series that we have going on the YouTube channel, but it's very audio friendly. So that episode was about Austin versus Cena. Which one of these two superstars have made a bigger impact in the world of wrestling and in the world of WWE, like those two characters specifically. So we have a conversation about that. That is one of the ideas that we want to have, long term for this Patreon second channel feed extension that we're going to be having. So if you haven't, because you're used to getting the podcast on Wednesday, check it out. We published it this past Saturday. Read that. You can listen to that right now.
Go check that out. And without further ado, we will let you guys go. So thank you guys for listening.
Dude. Okay, Ryan, no. We know many people aren't excited about what's happening with Raw specifically, so gang, thank you for listening. Whether you're happy or you're sad about what's happening, all that matters is that we support each other as wrestling fans, and you keep listening to the show, that we get your feedback, your motivation, so we keep doing what we do right here on Byte That. So until next week, stay tuned to Ryan's review, and hopefully you enjoy Extreme Rules, and hopefully we enjoy Extreme Rules. So talk to you next week.